trying to do meditation in an office chair. I'm going to be like Kevin Nealon doing Sam Donaldson. Whoa, 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 little help. This just doesn't work. There's got to be a way to do this. Oh, I'm cross-legged, but now I'm all... This is ridiculous. I'm going to have to actually meditate on the boardroom table. Then my office mates come in and see me meditating on here. I think I'm nuts. Why don't you meditate on the floor? Well, because I can get better camera angles this way. So here I am. People are going to walk by and think I'm completely nuts out. This is an issue. This is an issue with living in a small town. This is an issue with living in a small town. You can't be the Looney Tunes crazy guy. Okay, here we are, we're meditating. And you know what I'm meditating on is this. I don't know how to meditate. I did yoga about 3 weeks ago for the first time. And the beginning of yoga is moving meditation. You're supposed to sort of lie on a mat, and the yogi, or the leader, probably not a yogi, takes you through it and says, okay, feel safe, take deep breaths, let your body know this is an okay place to relax. Everything's all right. And my little phrase is, you're in the forest, you're where you need to be. I don't know why. I don't know why I have that, but you're in the forest, you're where you need to be. That's my little thing that I say to myself. To chill out, you're in the forest, you're where you need to be. I'm thinking about Coca-Cola, because the interesting thing about being old, I'm 43 years old, is that inflation hits you. And people like my age, all remember the 80s when parents used to have these crazy stories, crazy inflation stories. They'd say, we used to go down to Main Street, buy a bag of Glossats and old Dutch chips. Did they even have those then? A Cuban lunch and a Jersey milk and all these things that were super big back then. And a bottle of Coke. So back then, Coke was in 6-ounce bottles. And they would say, oh, we got it all for a nickel. And then we went to the movies. And then we went out to the drive-in. And it was all a nickel. Like just shockingly small prices that our parents say they paid for things. I had slightly older parents. If you had slightly younger parents, the type who got married and had kids right out of high school, you'd say, you're my grandparents. But a generation, 2 generations back, man, they all had inflation horror stories. But so now we think we have inflation horror stories. Because gas used to be 55 cents a liter. It used to be 55 cents a liter, that's true. When it went up to 83 cents a liter, I remember how terrifying that was. 83 cents, and now it's double that or whatever. But Coca-Cola, here's the strange thing. This is Coke Zero. Because I've always liked pop, but I just can't have sugar anymore. It's just too much for an old guy. Seriously, no more sugar. But this has potassium, this has sodium. This is actually good for somebody who's starting a business. So I'm meditating on Coke and I'm thinking about how this is actually like, what? This is 3 cans, virtually 3 cans of Coke. And they're selling them for $1.40 over at the bargain shop across the street. It still is possible to get a good deal. I mean, if I was a little kid in Waskesiu right now and I went down and got 3 cans of Coke, of course I would get full sugar Coke then. Gave us all cavities and made us all fat. Full sugar Coke was not a good thing. This is a good thing, I think. I think the Coke Zero is a good thing. I really prefer the Pepsi Zero, but at the bargain shop they only have the Coke Zero, so that's all right. This is the one thing that's turned out to be kind of inflation-proof. Isn't that funny? I mean, it depends. If you want to go to the Esso service station and get one of these that's already cold, then you're looking then you're looking at double the price, maybe 2.5 times the price, not fooling around. I know a girl who I was talking to about meditation once, and I said, you're supposed to have a mantra. I was listening to Jerry Seinfeld talk about transcendental meditation, and I don't think he said it, but somebody said that if you're doing transcendental meditation, you're supposed to repeat one word over and over again. And the girl said her mantra would be rich, rich, rich. Oh, well, lots of luck with that, everybody. Anyway, what I'm also meditating on is I'm in this office. Just a couple weeks ago, I said to Ben, I said to Proconsul, that's such a weird revolutionary name. I said to Proconsul, I'm going to go manifest that I'm in an office. I've been in the office nearly I've been in the office nearly 2 weeks. I said, I'm just going to go downtown and manifest an office. And that's something you can do when you're in a smaller center. Just make it happen. So I knew that there was office space for lease here. I had contacted the people, but I hadn't heard back. I was hoping I would get it. So I actually went out and just pretended that it was my office. I stood right outside that door on the park bench, right on the street, well, near the park bench, and I just pretended this was my office. And then a few days later it was, and now I have this base of operations, and it's a good thing. But the question is, what do I manifest next? And so that's what I'm doing right now is, essentially manifesting a show. Because I've always thought about how the really good shows that really hit just when I was of the age to be able to appreciate good TV were shows like Seinfeld and the original Office. And I'm sure other people did it that I'm not thinking of. Like Norm Macdonald really did it too, where there was such a blurring of the lines between fiction and reality. And just how Jerry Seinfeld played himself, Jerry Seinfeld living in New York with friends going to stand-up gigs. It was just so close to what he was actually doing. Ricky Gervais actually worked in an office. And in the Norm Macdonald podcast, there was very, very little production value to it at all. Like, I've got no production values here because I'm just literally a guy starting up a business in an office. But what you see is what you get. But the one thing that this show has that those three shows didn't have is that this is actually happening. And it is more on the documentary side. I'm not just playing me, I am me, and I'm actually trying to run a business and attract investors and get clients. But in an unorthodox way, so that you have to be very, very careful not to get in trouble. And, when you're being an artist, when you're just an artist, you don't fear mistakes at all. You go ahead, and I always have this thing that I say to people. I love saying it to people. The rock and roll police aren't going to come. If people are nervous about being on stage, oh, I can't do that song. I don't think I'm ready to do that song. The rock and roll police aren't going to come. But it's a different thing when you're starting a business and you're going into the legit world trying to make money. There's all these mistakes you can make that you have to not make. So sometimes it's better to take a step or not take a step and really consider where you're putting your feet. So that's one of the things I'm meditating on. But yeah, so sometimes it's better to actually stay put than take a step in the wrong direction. But you can't take that too far. You can't just sit around and do nothing. So it's all about wisdom. It's all about trying to know what's best. And that's why we're meditating on our boardroom table. We were also meditating because I got 2 of these, and the other one is in the freezer getting cold. It's a hot summer day. And even when you're starting up a business on a shoestring and you feel like the whole world's against you, it ain't so bad to have an ice cold Coke on a hot summer day.